Tower People's Choice Top 100 Games of All Time. Dice Tower People's Choice Top 100 Games of All Time.
Alright, here we go. We're talking about another top 100 games of all time. It's your list. Numbers 90 through 81. Now, I was told in the last one that I was a little too mean towards your picks, and that I was to keep my mouth shut about my opinion. So I will endeavor to do so. I will just talk about how great the picks you are that you picked. And you actually did pick some pretty good games. So let's get started.
Number 90, Axis and Allies.
Alright, so we're looking at this. Number 90 is Axis and Allies. Now, when I was a kid, seeing that huge board with all those plastic miniatures over it, it was a completely different experience than seeing Risk. It was a completely different experience than almost anything most kids my age ever saw. Axis and Allies brought World War II to life, and there wasn't any more cardboard chits. And I have nothing against war games in general, but this was one that brought war games to the general public. Thousands and thousands of people, I would probably guess hundreds of thousands of people have cut their teeth on light war games with Axis and Allies. And it still has a lot of nostalgia to this day. Lots of forms it's come out. I think there's probably 8 different versions of it now. Axis and Allies.
Number 89 is Carson City.
The next game on our list is Carson City. Now, I actually have to admit, I was kind of surprised to see this one on there. I like Carson City a lot, but I didn't know that my view was shared by so many people. Carson City is a cowboy worker placement game in which players are putting down and trying to control different parts and build this western city, but they can also attack one another too. And there's just a lot of different things going on. A really beautiful production. I was going to say it seems to be underappreciated, but obviously if it made it this high on the list, you guys like it quite a bit. So that's 89, Carson City.
Number 88, Wits and Wagers.
Number 88 is one of the most popular party games that I run at conventions, and that is Wits and Wagers. Every convention I go to, I try to run some version of Wits and Wagers, the party game, just because it is that much fun to play. The idea is simple. Everyone likes Trivial Pursuit, but no one actually knows the questions except that one guy who you didn't want to invite to the party anyway. So everybody is guessing who is closest to the correct answer without going over. So we're mixing a bit of Price is Right with a bit of Trivial Pursuit, and you come out with a whole lot of fun. The game, when I first heard about it, didn't sound like it was going to be the blast that it was, but it is amazingly fun. And when I get together, sometimes we have 30, 40 people in one of these games, and it is an absolute tremendous load of fun to play. And I can easily see why it made your list, Wits and Wagers.
Number 87, Warhammer Invasion.
Number 87 is Warhammer Invasion. Now, I'm really surprised again at this one too, but not that it's on this list, but just the popularity of this game. Warhammer Invasion is a, I don't want to say collectible card game, but it's a living card game from Fantasy Flight. Just came out last year, in which players are taking one of the roles of the armies in Warhammer and fighting another army. And you would think that that's going to appeal to some people, but the ease of play and the attack, it's a very vicious, fighting back and forth style game, combined with just these constant sets coming out. In my local gaming store, it's really been a craze, so I have to say I wasn't surprised that it's on here at all. Warhammer Invasion, a living card game, maybe the future of collectible card games, but this is certainly one that it seems like a lot of people are playing and having fun with.
Number 86, For Sale.
For Sale a quick and easy party game that a lot of people like. In fact, I think I've been talking about this already. That's right, because it was on my top 100 list too. So, good job, everybody. But For Sale is a simple game in which you play cards, you're bidding on properties, and then you take those properties and you play those properties to get check cards. It's a very simple, very efficient game. And it just really runs the gamut of, I can pull this out all the time, anywhere, and it works really well with 6 players. It takes 15, 20 minutes to play, and new people can jump in. And every time I play it with new people, they're always like, oh, there's actually some pretty good strategy to this game. And I'm thinking, yes, there is. And there's so much more to be seen. One of the ultimate gateway games, really, For Sale.
Number 85, Commands and Colors.
Commands and Colors Ancients. There's actually Commands and Colors Napoleonics out now, but Commands and Colors Ancient. What happened with Commands and Colors Ancients was we had Battle Line, and then we had Memoir 44. And now Commands and Colors Ancients was kind of like that system that Richard Borg did, but pointed towards people who were heavier gamers. And you can see it's certainly the heaviest of the system, but at the same time manages to really convey those ancient, plain-filled battles full of warriors. Very fun, and it's been constantly coming out with expansions since its inception. Some really good background put into it, and the battles play out very entertainingly. A very thinking, heavy, well, I shouldn't say heavy war game, but for me, a heavier style war game, and obviously one that a lot of people like, Commands and Colors.
Number 84, Dungeon Lords.
All right, good choices so far. This one is... okay. Dungeon Lords. I guess the good thing about this is that you certainly know I wasn't stuffing the ballot box here. Dungeon Lords. It's a very beautiful game. Really it is. And the idea is cool. Each person controls their own dungeon, and heroes are going to troop their way through, la-di-da, and you got to stop them somehow. It's a bit puzzly. There's a lot of worker placement involved with it. Looks better than it is. Say good things. It really is fantastic. A lot of people really have it, and I've read some recent reviews where people said that they initially didn't like it, but they were coming around and enjoying it more and more. And I'm starting to see that it does have some staying power. So, and man, does it look cool, and I like the theme. And there we go. Dungeon Lords.
I'm a grandma. Number 83, Risk.
I'm not sure who this is. I think this is Dora Robin Girl. Well, that's a new combination. But the game we're talking about now is certainly not new. And that is Risk.
Daddy,
there are people...
it is Dora.
Yeah, that is Dora. There are people out there who love Risk. And it's still being sold almost 50 years after it initially came out. And you can't argue with stats like that. It's a popular war game. It's played on the internet. It's played on computer games. It's been copied, really. Axis and Allies, and I could probably go through 30 games that have their direct roots from Risk. So I can certainly see why people like it quite a bit. Risk.
Number 82, Diplomacy.
And now the next game, another game that has lasted years upon years, is Diplomacy. A wonderful game, and I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. Diplomacy is terrible! Okay, no, actually, it's not. It certainly isn't for everybody, but I have used it effectively as a teaching tool. And it is one of the most divisive games in existence. It takes place right before World War I. Each player is a different country in Europe trying to control as much land as possible. You have to make agreements with the other countries to get anywhere. I mean, it has to be, you have to work together to take over different areas. Fantastic, just backstabbing little game, but a ton of fun. And, well, for a lot of people anyway. And certainly educational, and it has had a lot of influence on games since then. So, number 82, diplomacy.
Number 81, Alhambra.
The next game I'm going to talk about is one that won the Spiel des Jahres. It is very popular with a lot of expansions, and that's Alhambra. Ruby, close the door.
She doesn't even get outside.
The next game I'm going to talk about is one that's won the Spiel des Jahres, the Game of the Year award, and a lot of people enjoy it. It mixes a lot of things together. Alhambra. In fact, it's pretty neat because now they sell the big box version, which comes with all the expansions. And each expansion comes with 4 smaller ones. So there's 20 different mini expansions you can mix, so you never play the same kind of game twice. It's a very simple game where you're placing down tiles, trying to build your little city. Kind of like Carcassonne, but there's also some money aspects involved and all different other things you want involved with the expansions thrown in. It has a lot of replayability, and yet is pretty easy to get into. So, it certainly is a game I can see people liking. Just looks cool. It's just been rethemed, actually, with a New York setting. I'm not sure if that one's going to have all the expansions, but there's, I guess, you have 2 different themes to pick from now, Alhambra or the New York one. But either way, certainly a game a lot of people like, Alhambra.
How about it?
Alright, so that's it. We are down with the top 20% of all your favorite games. There are still many to go. And I'm telling you, some of these games I'm really surprised to see on your list. Some of them I'm thrilled, others, well, you can pick whatever you wanted to. But if you liked your list of these top 100 games, feel free to check out my list and Melody's list, and you'll see how our lists differ. We've had a lot of fun putting these together, but it's time for us to go and enjoy the weekend. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Amy Vassell.
And you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Axis and Allies.
Number 90, Axis and Axelites. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Okay, I'm sorry. 3, Risk.
Number 83, Risk.
What was this?
Risk. Risk.
That's a wrist.
Yeah, risk.
No.
Risk your life.
Oh, risk? Okay.